First of all, thank you everyone for being here. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining this webinar that has been organized by Envisa and Airport Research Council. And thank you especially for the speakers that they have been kind to participate and to share their thoughts, the work they are doing. This webinar was an initiative between Envisa and Airport Research Council. When around June, July, we commented, well, it's clear to Sama-san that aviation and airports sectors are moving to a green horizon, that there is a transition. All of us, all of you, for sure, members of the sectors, you are dealing with that. But one aspect that sometimes is not well commented or not fully commented or deeply commented, we share this idea, is the financial. How we are going to finance this great green transition, and what are the initiatives already going on, some of them, what are the tools that the programs that at the European level are provided or are being prepared for the future, and what are the airports as such thinking and proposing. That's why we have invited, and it's a pleasure to have all of them here. So the presentations will cover what are the needs of airports and what are the organizations of the European airports, and in fact all the airports in the world, but especially the European, ACI Europe, are focusing this topic. Very important, of course, especially probably for regional airports, because of their financial and economic situation. The second one, what is the Commission thinking and working, and what has already done to deal with this topic. And finally, last but not least, it's a very good initiative going on already in one region, an airport of Europe, in Hamburg, where the airport and the region have understood that, and they are working on that understood that this green transition is an opportunity for the airport, and it's an opportunity for the region, and they are not just talking. For sure they are talking, hopefully, but they are already working and investing a lot of money. This is the third part. The fourth part will be all of you, please, to provide questions to the speakers, and as much as they can, they will answer you, and if not, they will answer you back. From my side, I am Sergio Alegre. I am the Director General. I'm very honored to be the Director General of EAC for the last 7 years. EAC, as you know, probably you know, is the organizations of cities and regions that they host an airport in their territory, and they have understood, some of them 30 years ago, the founders, that the airport, even if it's not in their portfolio as administration, it's a very key important infrastructure with economic impacts, with environmental impacts, with mobility impacts, with a lot of impacts, as you know. I will not list all of them, and they are really focused on that. Working in Brussels, we are our office is in Rue Montoyer 21, so really in the heart of Europe, and we are very glad to participate in a lot of EU-funded projects regarding all the aspects of aviation, from employability, from training, from greening, from mobility around the airport, urban mobility as well, the new vector of our sector. It's a pleasure. Nothing more from my side. I will moderate, I will give the floor to the next speaker. So now it's really a pleasure to give the floor to Ace, she is the president on Envisa. Ace, please.
Thank you very much, Sergi, and thanks again to all our speakers and all the participants for joining to us today, which is a very important topic. I am president of Envisa. We have been working since 20 years now on totally aviation and environmental impact and how to reduce this environmental impact. We are very proud to dedicate 30 to 40% of our business basic to research and innovation. And since 2004, we have been involved in many EU projects, either like Horizon, Clean Sky, CESAR type of projects, but also regional projects. So we understand very well how this innovation can be also achieved via this kind of European or kind of regional funds. And these are very, very important to achieve some of the innovation, test some of the innovation. And if you have time, we will also maybe talk about the Olga project. Enviza is the work package lead on this Olga project, which is a very interesting for the airports, how to achieve the green objectives and how to test the innovation in a collaborative mode. And hopefully more and more airports will join this kind of initiatives. As you know, that most of the time now we are looking at the capex, there will be green financing will be needed on all emission reduction, but also with the green taxonomy. Some investment will need to be based on this environmental criteria. So airports can also use this kind of support. And I'm not going to talk more on that. Thank you very much. Sergio, you are mute.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for your words. I say very quick but very important. And with no more delays, we give the floor to Michael. He's working at the Sustainability Department of ACI Europe. Michael and Alexandra will share their presentation. They will have, like the rest of the speakers, around 10-15 minutes. And as I mentioned before, later on we'll have the part of the questions and answers. Michael, the floor is yours. And thank you again for your participation.
Yeah, Michael, I don't know whether you want me to start, maybe to give a brief overview, and then you would follow. So sorry, I'm Alexandre Joubert, the head director of sustainability at ACI Europe, and indeed I'm here with my colleague Michael Stanton-Geddes from the economics department. But I thought that I would maybe start to give.
No problem, Alexander. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Sergey. So I'm sharing the presentation now. Do you see the presentation in full?
Now, yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Full screen or?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so thanks. I mean, so indeed, I just wanted to give first an initial overview.
F11 to go to full screen because we see your Microsoft op menu, Alexandre.
Wait. Well, I don't know why it's not. Well,
it's good enough.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. Okay. Well, anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to bring a couple of elements before going a bit deeper, maybe in the economics with my colleague. So just as a context, indeed, we are following. So since the European Green Deal was announced in 2019, there are indeed some way paid for more sustainable investments, and this covers a lot of areas, including renewable energies, biodiversity, circular economies, to just mention a few. And the objective of the European Green Deal, as you may all know, is indeed climate neutrality in Europe by 2050. And in the meantime, recently we had we are currently under the implementation of a Fit for 55 package of legislation, which with the aim of reducing greenhouse gas emission by 55% by 2030. And all of this is also supported by an EU public investment plan of 1 billion euros to achieve this climate goal. So it's basically 1 trillion. So the EU, from the EU budget, member states and private actors that will need to play a role in financing this European Green Deal. Just from our perspective, I mean, I don't know whether you're all very familiar with the Destination 2050 roadmap, which is basically the roadmap of the European aviation ecosystem to reach net zero by 2050. And along with this roadmap, last year we published, we commissioned a study called Price of Net Zero to try to estimate a bit the required investment needed to reach this net zero by the European aviation ecosystem. And the study provides an estimation of the expenditure necessary to achieve net zero aircraft CO2 emissions along the roadmap Destination 2050 pathway. And within this study, it is mentioned that, and I will only focus indeed on airports related investments highlighted. So recharging infrastructure needs for hybrid electric aircraft investments is estimated to a total of 1.5 billion across more than 400 airports. Ground operation at airports will also require 1.3 billion investments. So taxi bots, ground power with fixed and mobile installations and preconditioned air systems. And also a third part on refueling infrastructure for hydrogen-powered aircraft. So this includes trucks, liquefaction facilities, storage, refueling boosters. So, and this refueling infrastructure for hydrogen-powered aircraft would likely require total investments of 16.4 billion euros across 335 airports serviced by hydrogen aircraft. So again, these figures indeed are quite high, but note that unfortunately the figures provided by the study are only limited to expenditures with a direct relation to aircraft carbon emissions. So it doesn't even integrate all the needs related to maintenance, to training. So obviously other additional investments will be required to fully cover the pathway to net zero. I wanted also to make a quick focus on hydrogen investment needs, because this is also this will be one of the big chunk of the investments required. It's and especially as we consider green hydrogen to reach net zero. And here, this is indeed a key challenge. The price of net zero study mentioned or expect an investment need for the top 300 airports of 16.5 billion euros of investments. And here again, it's not including the potential on-site electrolysis that some airports might be considering at this stage. So it's really about investing in pipelines, liquefaction facilities, and storage for now. So in the meantime, the financial position of Europe's airports has weakened. 50 billion euros have been foregone revenues in 2020 to 2022. Airports have not been able to reflect steep inflationary pressure in their user charges. And also Europe is facing an airport investment crunch, with airports having to scale down investment plans by 27 billion between 2022 and 2024. So this is a bit the situation at the moment. While as ACI Europe, we estimate Europe's total investment needs by 2040 to 360 billion euros. So this is for adaptation and then preparation for the net zero, for climate adaptation and climate mitigation, basically initiatives. I wanted to highlight also some how basically airports are also contributing to funding the sustainability transition, and in particularly for SAF, since it will be the first big chunk of how our sector is intended to decarbonize aviation. And airports are taking several initiatives to support the uptake of SAF through this. So we listed here 4 different categories, including supply chain investments, raising awareness, financial support, and policy engagements. And as well as direct SAF incentives. And you see here a short list of initiatives taken by airports in order to support the uptake of SAF. So those are financial supports from airports, mainly with the form of subsidies of percentages of SAF premium. But you also see some airports having invested in SAF production. I'm thinking about indeed here of ADP or Luxembourg Airport. Another elements that can help, that can help the supporting getting access to green finance is our flagship program, Airport Carbon Accreditation, which I think you're all well aware of, which basically recognize airports' efforts in their decarbonization journey. And here, the Airport Carbon Accreditation program, with its different levels of accreditation, provides a good element to also support airports' cases in getting access to investments and to fundings. And mainly, we saw recently an increase of the use of airport carbon accreditation by banks, for instance. When in order to support with sustainability-linked loans for airports, they usually, not usually, but some of them, increasingly, more and more banks are actually using ACA as a KPI in the requirements to lend the money to airports for related to the investment for airports. And finally, before leaving the floor to my colleague Michael on more in-depth economics, I just wanted to flag how ACI Europe is actually supporting also access to green finance. We have developed, and Michael, my colleague Michael, was very involved into the development of ACI Europe interpretations on taxonomy. We also provide a platform for airports to share experience, best practices, and guidance on compliance. We are working, given the increasing importance of CSRD and the deadlines that are coming quickly for some airports and maybe further in time for others. But we're working on supporting the interpretations of double materiality assessments for airports. And finally, we are currently developing a program or let's say a scheme to support members. So airports members in the CEF Transport Alternative Fuels Infrastructure Facility calls. So we will start basically, and this is still under development, but we have good hope that by the end of the year we will be able to support airports also in basically presenting projects and responding to calls for financial support to the EU. Sorry, I tried to be fast and brief to leave some time to Michael also to cover the more economics part. Yeah. Thank you.
I'll also be quick, and I would highlight where starting with that where Alexandre finished on the guidance for the taxonomy is probably where I'll finish as well, because we think the taxonomy is very central for the future financing of European airports. And let's see if I can share this. It's very important for European airports and their access to finance. And I'm going to take a step back and look at what does it cost to run an airport, because the webinar is titled Financing the Green Transition. So what does it cost just to finance an airport? I think one way to think about it is what does it cost per passenger for an airport over a year? We had a COVID shock. So in 2019, on average, for a workload unit, which is one passenger or 100 kilograms of freight, it was about 13 euros. That jumped up I skipped the really bad COVID years, but it jumped up to around 16 euros and now settling around 15 euros per passenger per year. The increase is largely driven by, I was on to mention this as well, we forensically look into financial costs for all airports. So we really do cover the very biggest, who are publicly transparent because they're listed companies, but we also get information from the very smallest airports. They all had significant increases in energy and labor bills between 2020 and last year. Capital costs are very important for airports. Here, by capital costs, the traditional financial definition of what you're paying in interest and what your depreciation of your property, plant, and equipment are. 78% in 2023 was depreciation costs, so that's directly linked to your CapEx. A smaller portion is linked to your debt payments, which have gone up again significantly because of the increased debt load in 2020 and 2021. Looking out through the end of the decade, we, at a very high level, estimate that airports in total, and again, we're looking at every European airport, will invest between 8 to 10 billion euros per year. And that covers all airport capital investment, so airfield, terminal, aircraft movement areas, landside investment that are under the airport's obligations, as well as maintenance and replacement expenditure. The lion's share of that goes into aircraft movement areas, meaning the runway, but also taxiways and aircraft parking, and terminal buildings. So that accounts for nearly 3/4 of all investment, with the other investment going into, as you can see from this, car parking, landside access, transit, equipment and vehicles, ground handling equipment, and other facilities. So of all of this huge amount of annual CapEx, recent surveys about what percentage is directly linked to Scope 1 and Scope 2 decarbonization places that are around 8% in total. So around 2% of all CapEx for Scope 1 and 6% of all CapEx or investment for Scope 2. How do airports finance this? Well, it's the way any business finances its operations, from working capital, cash flows, loans, bonds, and equity. For airports, as regulated infrastructure with stable volumes, and that comes the big asterisk because of COVID, they tend to be more highly geared, which means they rely more on debt. And airports have turned more and more in the capital markets to sustainability actions or sustainability instruments. As Alexandre mentioned, one of the measures that is used is airport carbon accreditation, but we use the whole range of standards and metrics, from the green bond principles to SBTi to any number of frameworks. And on this slide, it's just a quick summary of some of the, this is global, so looking at global airport sustainability linked financial instruments. So we had the first European airport green bond, which was issued by Schiphol Airport in 2018. There have been, I'd say, limited number of issuances linked with sustainability metrics, but they are significant in volume. So an airport like Rome Airports, Aeroporti di Roma, 60% of their outstanding debt today is linked to sustainability metrics. So, well, let's leave it at that. I can say that what we see is a growing use of sustainability-linked metrics to finance airport capital investment into the future. A lot of information very quickly, so if you have any questions, I'm more than happy afterward by email to provide additional information.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Alexander. I think it was short, but as you mentioned, very concentrated with a lot of information. And thank you for your keenness offer that you can get answers directly, questions, and later on answers. I think we are on time, so really thank you for that. So now it's a pleasure to give the floor to Pierre. He is a staff person of the Policy Aviation Unit of DG Trump. So Pierre, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm almost ready. I'm just, do you see my presentation? Ready or not? Do you see my presentation?
Yeah, but we cannot, at least I cannot see it.
You cannot see it, okay. So
myself, no, I see you now.
Okay, now let's try. Yes, do you see it?
I can see.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
Okay, now, yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if I
just...
Okay, perfect. Let me see this. One moment. Okay, yes, indeed. Okay, so thank you very much for this invitation. I have a pleasure just to present a few, as requested, a few EU financial instruments for greening of airports. Maybe at the beginning, I will tell you a few words about me very shortly, because yeah, and now you don't see me, my screen. Sorry, I will do it one more time. I think I selected window and not screen. It's always like this, just let me try to. My apologies for this. I'm trying just to.
No problem. No problem. No stress. Wait. No.
Okay, and now. Yes.
Yes.
So now my task would be just to do this. And there is a problem when yes. So I think the same problem as for Alexander, that I cannot share, the whole.
Well.
I cannot put full screen. Yeah, just it's the same situation, I think, as before.
Oh.
So at least
Yeah, I think it's okay.
it's okay. Okay.
And you cannot put it bigger, so this is it. No problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try like this. Maybe I will hide this if it's possible. No, okay. Let's start like this. I will do it bigger and I will start. Okay, so a few words about me. I'm working in DG Move, so DG in charge of mobility and transport in the European Commission. I joined this unit something like 2.5 years before. I spent my whole professional life in the Commission, something like 10-15 years in DG competition, where I was involved in the assessment of state aid cases and also antitrust cases in transport, so also including aviation, airports, etc. So it was the place where my love to aviation grew up and forced me just to join DG Move. So the topic of my presentation is that, as I have already said, is EU financing for sustainable airports. First, I will try to tell you very shortly about the political and legal framework for this, because I think it's very important just to understand why there is this financing and for what purpose can be used. So I think it's good to know also this framework. It was already referred to by Alexandre. So we have a Green European Deal that for transport set up this objective of carbon neutrality and reduction of GHG emissions by 2050. Alexandre also mentioned Fit for 55, and we have also sustainable and smart mobility strategy that focuses on transport. And for airports, it's the objective is to have zero emission airports, and that they are something like somehow energy hubs. Yes, that sustainable energy hubs. And we have more detailed objectives for airports. It's just it focuses on feeding stationary aircrafts with renewable power instead of fossil fuels. So it's also about the greening of aviation movements, about the deployment of sustainable and low carbon fuels, and it is also about all these incentives, introduction of incentives for using new cleaner air and quieter aircrafts. So, and moving further, we have of course a set of legislation, a set of rules that refer to both to Green Deal strategy and to the mobility strategy, to Green Deal and to the mobility strategy. I will refer to a few because the one that I think are the most important. So first is, I think, the most recent. So it's the Refuel Aviation Regulation that was adopted to scale up the SAF supply at the EU airport, so ensuring both supply and uptake of SAF in the European airport. The most important, I think, feature of this regulation is this minimum level of blends of SAF that should be available at the EU airports as of 2025. Probably the most of you know that from the next year, jet fuel suppliers will have to supply to airports blends with at least 2% of sustainable aviation fuel within this jet fuel, and this percentage will increase from year to year. And as far as I remember, in 2030, the objective is to have 6%, and then it will go further and further. Yeah. The next piece of legislation that is relevant for our further discussion about EU financing is this TEN-T regulation that, of course, covers all transport modes, including also aviation, and it focuses on the core network of the transport in the EU. And for the aviation, both the regulation and the related guidelines set up the following objectives. So we have rail connections to airports, alternative fuel infrastructure, preconditioned air supply to stationary aircraft, increased airport energy and operational efficiency, and digitalization and automatization process. And all this financing that we will discuss later are about these topics. Okay, we have also alternative fuel infrastructure regulation that covers also all modes of transport, but for aviation, the objective is electrification of electricity supply to stationary aircraft, and there are included obligatory targets for member states, yes, and consequently also for airports. And in addition, just to have a full picture, the Commission also set up this public-private cooperation that are there just to facilitate the process and to help all stakeholders in this process, that it is smooth and the most efficient, and we can really achieve the requested expected objectives. We have two alliances, public-private. It's for one of them is Alliance for Zero Emission Aviation, and it's focused on hydrogen and electric aircrafts. And the second is Renewable and Low Carbon Fuel Alliance that focus on fuel, yes, on low carbon fuels, and both gather, all interested stakeholders can join these alliances and take part in the discussion and preparing and developing, standard solutions, also proposing the legislative changes, just to that this process is for us all interested stakeholders, all involved stakeholders, as smooth as possible, and we are really able just to achieve the objectives. Okay, Alexander has already mentioned that the ACI's carbon aggregation program, and of course, I agree that it facilitates just to get green financing or just finance from the investor that they look for sustainable investments to finance, and it's the same purposes for EU green taxonomy framework that introduce also that classified some investment as green activities and allows the companies, the entities carrying out this investment or activities as green, and allow them to apply for let's say green loans, green financing, etc. And for airports, the related eligible activities are low carbon airport infrastructure, ground handling equipment, SAF production, power generation, ground fleets and charging infrastructure, energy efficient buildings. Yeah, so I think taxonomy will help airports and owners, as I understand, also you as owners in many cases, or the regions, just to obtain financing on the market. It will be just easier, just because this investment activities can be classified as sustainable green, let's say. Okay, next slide. Let's move to EU financial instruments to support this green transition in the airports. So first, and I think also for me maybe not the most important, but the one that being a CEO of an airport or just being in charge of an airport in a region, I would look first into it. So to give a special focus on this, because I think it's the most easier just to apply, and it's still relatively easy to just to get money from this source. It's of course money that will co-finance your projects, and you need to have a project. You need to have a good project related to the objective of the source. So this is Alternative Fuels Infrastructure Facility. This is a fund under Connecting Europe Facility, and it's managed by CINEA, that is a agency for sorry, the abbreviation for yeah. So environmental CINEA, yes. Okay, so it's for climate, infrastructure, and environmental executive agency that is in charge of this funding. The agency organizes systematically calls for proposals for get funds for projects, just so that can be co-financed from this source. The last one we had, the deadline for submitting project was yesterday. The next one we have in June next year, and then in December 2025. You can apply for project covering electricity and preconditioned air supply to stationary aircrafts, electricity and hydrogen supply facilities for ground handling operation equipment and grid connections. And in the slide, I put the information from Spring. So at the time, it was 20 projects that get financing from this facility, and they covered 63 airports from 12 member states, and they get 160 million euros for the projects. Here we have two examples. So we have EMAGO projects of Milan airports, and they get money for co-financing for ground power units, electric charging stations, etc. And similar project was submitted by AENA. So, and it covers all Spanish airports. Yeah. So I think it really helped them to electrify ground handling activities in this airport. So the project is still being implemented. So I think in the future, yeah, we will see the results. Okay, I'm a member of the panel, for the assessment panel in the AFIF calls, so I know a bit the project that were submitted or have been submitted up to now. So and maybe just to focus a bit more here, just and give you some examples, just to inspiring you for your projects if you're thinking about something like this. So electricity, we had the following, equipment that at the end was financed from this source. So we have all this equipment for electricity supply for aircraft. So these are GPU and mobile, fixed and mobile units. We have also preconditioned air units, as you see on the pictures. We have also all these charging points and recharging points for ground handling equipment and vehicles. You cannot support from this source vehicles, ground handling vehicles, but you can get money for installation, for charging this equipment. That of course incentivize also your ground handlers to change their vehicles. Yeah. And also we have a project that cover grid capacity upgrade. The reasoning behind is that energy consumption increases in airports because of obvious reasons. So you need to upgrade in many cases the grid capacity leading to the airports, and you can also get money from this fund for this purpose. And you can also invest somehow in your own electricity production. That is here you have the solar panels in Riga Airport as an example. And very important information is that under AFIF call now you can also apply for infrastructure, for co-financing of infrastructure for hydrogen supply. It was not possible before. The other important source of financing at the EU level is EU framework program for research. Now it's called the Horizon Europe, that organize calls for for different research and innovation programs or plans that are in line with the current objective of the Union, and including of course the objectives of the Green Deal And here we have a few examples of the projects developed by consortia that are composed by airports, knowledge institutions like universities, etc., research centers, and plus also, of course, companies that implement solutions that are developed under this. And as I know, we will have the pleasure just to get more information about Olga products. Yes, so I will not say more about it now, but in general, the areas covered by this research program relates to the uptake and production of SAF and general implementation of sustainable fuels to the airports, about some mobility, sustainable mobility, access to the airports, etc., etc. So all these elements that are and these objectives that are both in the mobility strategy. So you have here the names. You can check more in detail what are they about precisely, but they are quite inspiring, I would say, for airports that have not started yet their adventure in greening, or just they do the first steps. I would definitely look and get to know closer these projects, and the idea of this project and of co-financing of this project is that also the results of these projects will be somehow available to other airports, as you know, with handbooks how to implement and with ideas that that have been checked, etc. So it's very, I think, useful to get to know these projects. And we have the Invest EU program that is managed jointly by the Commission and Europe Investment Bank and implementing partners in each member state. So these are, in general, development banks of each member states. So and under this program, you can have access to financial instruments like loans, equity guarantees for your airport green projects, and of course, it's about innovative projects and R&D projects that, of course, also there is a scope and the place and it's necessary presence of airports within this project, because it's about also implementation this project in the airports, and also you can get financial support for for things like you see here in Warsaw Airport. It was renovation and expansion of the terminal just to make it more sustainable, etc. And also it's the same type improvements in Budapest Airport. And other potential sources, we have also innovation fund, ETS innovation funds that use funds from ETS collected by ETS to finance demonstration projects for production of SAF, hybrid electric and hydrogen powered aircraft. And this so it's all about the EU, let's say, central financing possibilities, opportunities at the EU level, but of course US airports and region can also try to obtain co-financing at member states level. So it's for your member states just to decide if they want to support you or not, and for this you have to remember about state aid rules, because they apply to all the funds that are decided by member states, both if these funds come from national budget, and also for funds that are given to member states from the EU budget, but on which the decision is in the member states' hands, and they decide. Yes. So here there are the two applicable legislative acts that are very relevant for all your projects are, state aid guidelines for airports and airlines that specify when state aid can be granted and it's compatible with the internal market. It's end of time.
Pierre, sorry, I'm Sergey. You should please finish
Yes.
very
Excellent.
soon
Yes.
because you have taken much more time than normal. I mean, that there was your slot. It's very interesting. We are going to share the presentations. but
Okay, thanks
it's
a lot. So
each
it's
time
about the
the
lesson.
next.
I listed here the relevant documents. You can come back to the slide that we will distribute it. And
Thank you.
it was my last slide. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay, thank you indeed to you. I'm sorry, but this is the role of the,
No problem.
of the
No.
moderator. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. And
Thank
as I mentioned at the beginning of the of this webinar, now we have we are going to. It's a pleasure to give the floor to Stefan and Julian. Stefan is for Hamburg Airport, and Julian for the Minister of Finance of Economy and Finance of the Hamburg region. It's probably, I don't want no one gets upset for my words, but probably the best initiative, or at least the most known initiative, and I am pretty sure that it's probably the best between the region and the airport and the region working together in this green transition and financing that. So please, Stefan, Julian, did you organize who is going to be the first?
Yes, I will start, Sergey, and
Perfect.
afterwards, Julian.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I will share my screen. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yeah, it's perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. In full mode? Presentation mode?
Nee, nur die PowerPoint-Seite, also
Okay,
die Bearbeitungsseite.
okay, na gut. Then I can. Okay. So you see the PowerPoint in the working surrounding?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's the same problem. I cannot switch to the presentation mode, but I think it doesn't matter. Yes, yeah, thank you, Sergey. Thank you for the invitation. Let me just shortly introduce myself. My name is Stefan Barentschi. I'm the deputy head of the unit cluster policy at the Ministry of Economy and Innovation in Hamburg. As I told, I will give an overview of the activities of the city of Hamburg regarding sustainable airports and green aviation. And afterwards, Julian from Hamburg Airport will explain the projects and the activities of Hamburg Airport more detailed. So maybe starting with our cluster policy. So since 2001, Hamburg pursues a cluster-oriented economic policy. We've got 8 clusters, like, for example, the maritime cluster of Northern Germany, renewable energy cluster, and of course, the Hamburg aviation cluster, which is in focus today, of course. And the city of Hamburg is a central part of each cluster. And our clusters are organized as a triple helix or quadruple helix model. In other words, it's a network of companies, science, politics, and in some clusters, the civil society. The central goal is of the cluster policy is to network the players, of course, from the industry, research, and politics, in order to create synergies and to increase innovation and value creation for Hamburg as a location itself. As some of you may know, Hamburg is the third largest civil aviation site. We've got around 42,000 employees and 300 companies and institutions in the aviation sector. So for Hamburg, the aviation industry is a very important sector for the whole location. In addition to many important small and medium-sized enterprises and research institutes here, Hamburg Airport, Airbus, and Lufthansa Technik are the biggest companies in the aviation sector in Hamburg. So in Hamburg, we cover the entire value chain of the aviation industry. So from the design, development, entry into service, manufacturing, operations, and the phase out. So yeah, Hamburg has been on the road to green aviation for a relatively long time. I will just show the biggest milestones of our way for green aviation here in this timeline. Maybe actually we should go back a little further to 2001 when the network Hamburg Aviation was founded. But here in this chart, starting in 2008, Hamburg Aviation won the leading edge cluster competition in Germany of the Federal Ministry of Education and Research, and benefits from extensive research funding. In 2016, ZAL opens to enable aviation research. ZAL stands for the Center for Applied Aeronautical Research. And the main shareholders in ZAL are Airbus, Lufthansa Technik, and we as the city of Hamburg, as well as the DLR. It's the German Aerospace Center, representatives of small and medium-sized companies, and numerous universities in Hamburg. So for us, the ZAL is our anchor institution for research and innovation in the aviation sector. Two DLR institutes are founded in Hamburg in 2017. As you can see here, it's the Institute for Maintenance and Modification and the Institute for System Architectures in Innovation in Aviation. In 2020, Hamburg Aviation and ZAL jointly developed the Green Aviation Technology Roadmap. I will come back to this a little later. Also in 2020, Hamburg launched an innovation fund in GATE 1. GATE stands here for Green Aviation Technologies. So GATE was used to promote innovative and sustainable projects in aviation. This includes, for example, the Hydrogen Aviation Lab, which will become back to, I think, the next chart. Also a lot happened or happens in 24. Hamburg Aviation, our cluster, is one of the project partners of ECARE, so the European Clean Aviation Regional Ecosystem funded by the EU. So the project partners will develop recommendations of how synergies between the EU Clean Aviation Fund, regional and national programs such as our LUFO, that's our German Federal Aviation Research Program, can be optimally used. In this year, ZAL ZAL2 was opened, so the ZAL Tech Center is now expanded. We have about 34,000 square meters with the extension of ZAL 2, and so over 30 partner companies and institutions and researchers are now active at ZAL. So this is, as I told, the anchor institute for our innovation and research activities in the aviation sector. The two mentioned DLR institutes mentioned in 2017 here rent a large part of the new space at ZAL 2. So they will contribute their core competences of maintenance and digitalization for climate-friendly aviation to research network at ZAL. GATE 2 was launched this year too. This is a successor program to GATE 1, and we thus made it permanent as a regional innovation program. Coming to ITZ North, this is an innovation and technology center for hydrogen technology. Will start this year. ITZ North will deal with the mobility areas of maritime and aviation, and the main focus is to promote application-oriented developments. So, and large part of the hydrogen infrastructure from the project ITZ North will be set up at our ZAL Tech Center. The green aviation strategy from 2020 will be updated, also in close coordination with clean aviation. The next point here, as you can see, the MOC, Clean Aviation, at the ILA in Berlin this year. Hamburg signed a memorandum of cooperation with the Clean Aviation Joint Undertaking. I will come back to the MOC, I think, in the next one or two charts with a little bit more details. Yeah, the EU-funded Interreg Highport project has been launched and will run until, I think, 26, with Hamburg Airport as a lead partner. I think Julian will certainly can tell you more about the project after my presentation. But the aim is to create the conditions for hydrogen flights to enable first demonstration flights in the Baltic Sea region. Yeah, to have a look into the future, we are planning ZRL3 as a further expansion in 28. And yeah, other milestones here are Net Zero 35 from Hamburg Airport, which Julian will also certainly talk about in a moment. Yeah, just two activities as an example here on the left side, the Hydrogen Aviation Lab. It's funded by the city of Hamburg, and it's yeah, real world laboratory is being carried out. Here you can see the partners by Lufthansa Technik, the DLR, German Aerospace Center, ZRL, and Hamburg Airport. So the Hydrogen Aviation Lab uses a decommissioned Airbus A320, and hydrogen infrastructure is being set up on the ground on a liquid hydrogen tank, and a fuel cell are being installed in the aircraft. So in some questions that the Hydrogen Aviation Lab would like to answer is, for example, how must liquid hydrogen be handled so that it's not only environmentally friendly but also safe for use in flight operations, and how does this affect the infrastructure and the process at the airport? Yeah, I mentioned the Green Aviation and Technology Roadmap on the last chart. It was first published in 2020. We are currently in the process of updating the roadmap together with our partners, Hamburg Aviation and ZRL. And we have continued, as I said, the Hamburg Green Aviation Technology Funding Program, the Regional Gate 2 program, to strengthen technological expertise at the aviation sector here in Hamburg. Yeah, as I mentioned before, the MOC, just a few words maybe to Clean Aviation. As you will know, Clean Aviation Joint Undertaking is Europe's research and innovation program for transforming the aviation sector. We signed the MOC at the ILA in Berlin this year in June. And between 24 and 27, Hamburg will mobilize up to 128 million in investments and regional investments to support projects at a regional level. And as I showed, the green technology roadmap will be updated this year, aligned to the clean aviation objectives, so that the roadmap will be hand in hand with the clean aviation objectives. Yeah, thank you. The next part of the presentation will be given by Julian, and I think he will elaborate a few topics and a few projects that I mentioned in my last charts. So thank you.
Stefan.
And
Thank
over
you
to Julian.
for this great presentation of this great initiative of your city. And please, yeah, Julian, the floor is yours for the next 5 minutes, and then we can jump into the questions.
Right, I try to do it in 5 minutes. I hope you see my full screen. I think
Yeah,
I'm one of the first doing that.
7 minutes, it's okay too. Okay.
All right.
All
right. I tried to jump through quite quickly, not losing too much information. Well, yeah. Hi from me from Hamburg Airport. Thanks for all my speakers before me. most importantly, to this topic, we are very happy to announce that we are CO2 neutral since 2022. Means we managed to reduce our emissions from 40,000 tons back in 2009 to 12,000. Now we're at 9 something, so more than 80%, and the rest is offset by very high quality compensation certificates. Nonetheless, as said from Stefan, we aim for 2033 to 2035 for our emissions to be reduced to zero, at least our scope 1 and scope 2, so all our operational emissions, not including now the aircraft, as this is fairly difficult in 2035 to do so. This is the reduction scheme. You can see all that on our website. Just scrolling through a little bit, as I need to go to the very deep diving slides. This is our setup for net zero. We're checking future-proof energy supply, as we had heaps of problems in COVID phase with the gas supply. We have to change our heat supply, which is responsible for most of our CO2 emissions. We are going to convert our vehicles to emission-free vehicles where the alternatives are present. The rest is driven by diesel engines, which drive with synthetic diesel since 2016. So we haven't used any drop of fossil fuel in diesel applications since now 7 years. And yeah, of course, energy efficiency, because the kilowatt hour you don't use is the most sufficient one, or the most sustainable one. As well, we are very happy to announce that we are going to build our own wind park close to Hamburg on our old premises where Hamburg Airport should have been built. There is some land left, and we invest more than 70 million euros to build a wind park, which is providing us with our own electricity and the surrounding villages with energy as well, which we are very happy about. And here's the scheme, how we are going to manage that. We now signed our contract with the city heat supply, central heat supply of the city. So we are going to be connected to it in 2028, which will massively reduce our heat emissions, as this is driven by a lot of very low carbon heat sources, which is very great, and we are connecting ourselves to that. Then we have, of course, the conversion of our cars and the build of heat of our wind farm, which could possibly result in the end in some power to heat systems as well. This is what we are checking, but now we're running with central heating from 28. Quick run through. You can check all that on our website as well. This is not on our website so deeply, but this is now in German letters. But anyway, this is how we see the future of aviation, and this is how we are planning now the future for ourselves and the airport operations and the aviation itself. We see in the long haul, of course, SAF will play the most important role, as this is the fuel which brings us more than 2,000 nautical miles. But the availability, as everybody, I guess, knows, is of SAF is very, very short, and we won't have enough in the next years to cover all our flights with SAF. So we need another fuel, and this is in our case we see for medium haul, so everything lower than 2,000 nautical miles will be liquid hydrogen, or liquid hydrogen could play a very important role here. We'll see how the OEMs like Airbus or ZeroAvia are going to bring out their aircrafts, but we are going to make ourselves and other airports ready for the hydrogen infrastructure. And this is what we are doing today, because we need to plan it today. And for the short haul, the first aircraft in the air with good number of seats is the ZeroAvia aircraft you can see here, which is around 250 nautical miles, running on gaseous hydrogen. And this is as well part of our project I'm going to show you in the next slides, which has been teased already. All in all, small overview what we're doing. We try to cover the whole supply chain in Hamburg Airport: the demand, the transport, the infrastructure, the handling, usage in aircraft, and the commercial usage. And for that, we took out several different projects which cover different roles, different parts of the supply chain all over in an airport. And here you can see on the top side, it's the liquid hydrogen phase, and the bottom side is the gaseous hydrogen, which will come first and then paves the way for the liquid. And Hamburg Aviation Lab has already been shown by Stefan. We worked quite intensively with Airbus, with the DLR, which has been finished, and we have a workshop tomorrow with them in Cologne. And yeah, the BSR High Airport covers mostly everything in the gases part, and with Rotterdam together and ZeroAvia, we're going to do the demo flight hopefully in 26. Small overview about the funding schemes. We try to check out where is what possible. We have the EU funding on Interreg. It's our BSR High Airport project. We have the German funding with the Aviation Lab. Stefan, I'm not sure, is it German funding or is it Hamburg funding? I think it's, I'm not sure, to be honest. Maybe I made a small mistake. And we have the Norddeutsches Realabor, again, the real world laboratory, or for our baggage trucks, which are going to run on hydrogen. Hopefully, we are trying to do that, or doing the tests next year in January. I have 1 minute, so I run you through that as well. BSR High Airport, we're quite happy to be part of it, or be the lead partner, and forming this project of several partners, 16 funding partners all around the Baltic Sea. And as Stefan already told, we are going to check the whole picture: transport of hydrogen to the airports, usage of hydrogen in the aircraft, usage of hydrogen in special equipments. For example, the Finnish partners are trying to switch a PSB, a snow blower machine, with hydrogen. So we are really doing stuff with trying to demonstrate. And with the last dot on the I, as we say in German, we try to get the demo flight from Rotterdam to Hamburg with a hydrogen-driven aircraft from ZeroAvia. All in all, we try to do the H2 readiness of airport in Baltic Sea region, and check the feasibility, the commerciality, the technical readiness, and doing like a footprint, or not footprint, a blueprint, a toolbox for everyone who's interested in hydrogen infrastructure at airports. What is the way to go, and what are the most economic ways to do so? And through that, we try to do the connectivity between the airports. And the Green Corridor is there for the testing flight, which as well combines our Tulips program in Rotterdam and the Baltic Sea Region High Airport program, the English programs with the ZeroAvia. So therefore, we have a very combined European project network as well, which works quite good as well with the ASEA ACI team. This is quite great. I see Sergi opened his camera. This is my last slides. These are our partners, and I'm very happy to run you through that within 10 minutes. If you're interested, I can spend more time on that as well. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Julian, and sorry about that. I think that I have realized that it looks like the Commission, they are providing funds for general projects in projects like Olga, Tulips, and Stargate, but they are focusing the concrete projects. I mean, projects that they are really focusing one topic of the green aviation in the Nordics. I mean, you are the lead partner of this project focusing hydrogen, as you very well explained, and you know, because you're part of it. And they have focused in Copenhagen Airport, a light project, which is just focusing SAF. So I don't know if it was a plan, but it has a logic, or it looks like it's a logic. So even sometimes there is not logic in not of the Commission, of no one, let's say. Thank you again to all the speakers. And now we have, for the moment, I have here written 2 questions. I don't know which one would you like to answer. The first one is the first one is very easy. Is, well, if airport operators are thinking that 2 surface access will be in their, let's say, target in the green transition, or is just the regional government or the national government who should take care of that question. There is any comment from any, or ACI, so Alexander or Michael or you, Julian, who would like to answer this question?
I'm trying to get the question, to be honest. Help decarbonize
The question-
surface access.
The question is if airport operators, they consider that they have to contribute to the greening of the surface access to their airport.
So for example, for the passengers.
Yeah, I mean,
This is quite delicate and detailed question, of course. From the certification aspects, we, for example, ACA, which has been shown by our ACI colleagues, as more you get the higher level of standards, which we are addressing now in Hamburg Airport as well, there are obligations to make a so-called stakeholder partnership plan, where you are responsible for the greening your Scope 3 emissions as well, which includes the surface access. And this is something you can't do by yourself, because it's another company, it's another scheme, it's not your operation, so to say, but still you are the one who shall push it, and you're the one who shall at least try to get something for others to do so. For example, you get electric taxis free of charge, or they get a special lane, or the bus providers are paying less when they bring electrical buses and stuff like that. So it is in our range to do so, and this is something so at least when you want to reach higher certification levels, you're obliged to do so. Yes.
Thank you, Julian. I think it answers quite a lot the questions. From my side, I can add that the case I know more in Europe, again, is for sure there are more, but I think one of the biggest cases is the case of Stockholm Arlanda. They are really involved in the surface access greening, because the government, the national government, told them, well, you have a cap of CO2. Including surface access. So as much as you reduce surface access, CO2 impact, you can provide more planes. And for sure, they have to work with the planes to try to get the greenest planes, and to all issues regarding to reduce the CO2 of the operations, etc., etc. But in the case of Stockholm Arlanda, it's one case that someone, I don't know, the person who has made the question is a very good example how the airport can really provide, and as Julian mentioned, is really linked with a lot of aspects that the airport can facilitate, can push, can oblige. Thank you, Julian. There is a second question, but to tell the truth, I don't understand this question.
Me neither, Sergi. I just used the AI to translate it to me in my language. If I get it right, it's is there something your stakeholders on the airport, for example, or on the airports, who pay specific funds on their CO2 emissions, so that you get an income through their emissions to fund your investments?
Okay.
I'm not sure if I translated it right.
Yeah, probably you did, but or the machine did it. But I have no answer for this question, to tell you the truth. No, I think no, I think for my information, no airport has a fee for the providers, the stakeholders connected with the CO2. What they do is what you mentioned. They say, okay, you have to, for example, the 25% of the ground handling has to be electric, or 50% or 75%. All these type of initiatives. I don't know if if you know anyone, IC or Sharon, that you are here. Any initiative of the, I mean, this to answer this question, if you know an initiative or a program that an airport gets money from the stakeholders or the providers that they have at the airport because of the level of CO2 they produce?
Well, maybe before passing to Sharon, not maybe stakeholder, but as you know, maybe Alexander knows as well, in France, we had this easy kind of tool from the government. It really worked very well, and lots of French airports actually became ACA thanks to this initiative. I think it cost too much maybe to the government. This year they didn't renew. We are kind of lobbying because, you know, they were talking about to make the second one maybe with a higher level of ACA, but again, maybe ACI can push. So it was a good initiative from the French government. But from the stakeholder, I think there's also ACI partnership program. Maybe Alexander can talk more.
Yeah, no, indeed. I mean, one of the most relevant program, I think, is indeed the EASY project. EASY program that was done in France. So basically, yeah, supporting really airports and trying to help them fund a bit their decarbonization strategy. So it's not like really a levy or anything for now. It's more public funding of this specific program to support airports in the among other things, being ACA airport, airport carbon accreditation accredited, basically.
Maybe not to the airport, but there's also something in France called CIDS, Certificate Economy Energy. So these are not just related to airport, but to everyone, all the industry. So this is the energy providers have some kind of grants, NG or others, if you can prove that you are reducing the energy consumption.
Okay, so thank you.
Well, I have the hand. Can I also ask one or two questions, if I may?
For sure.
Thank you. So Piotr, maybe first questions to you, because it was a very good explanation, all these different initiatives. Thank you very much for this very excellent presentation. But maybe really the questions for the airports, how to find the right initiative or right funds applicable to the airport. So how to go all this catalog of different things and find the right one for the airports.
Yeah, this is I mentioned, specifically this AFIF, so funding, because it's the easiest just to apply, because you apply the solutions that are on the market, yes, and you don't need to dip into research and development. And for the rest, I think it's just a cooperation with others. I don't believe that simply airports are, the majority of airports are able to to invent new ideas and solutions on its own without cooperation with others, interested stakeholders, startups, etc. And then all this cooperation can lead to an interesting project that can get support under one of this funding. Yeah.
Yes, definitely, and I'm hoping that there will be from this EU Green Deal projects like Olga, Stargate, and Tulips, because we are testing hundreds of different innovation, and these are the one step before, like really the research before they invest, the airport invest, they can test innovation, and hopefully there will be some kind of follow up on how to implement.
I think it would be reasonable that there are great ideas that can be easily implemented in other airports, because also the objective of this project is just to develop this project that can be easily transferred. Implementation can be transferred to other airports, and then indeed, I think it will have to be a follow up to other airports that would like to implement this project, and also would need to have financial support for this. But this is, I think, for the future, and it's maybe I will add that of course we are very interested in all this cooperation with all the stakeholders that are involved in the greening of airports. And your voice is very important. And we have, of course, very good cooperation with ACI, etc. But also, even a contribution for a small airport, it can be very useful for us when we organize different, public consultations. And yeah, so please be active, and it will help us all, just to have smoother this transitional period, and just to achieve our goals quicker. And yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we are reaching our destination, our runway. So we are going to land and to close this webinar. Thank you to all. Thank you to IC in the name of Mbisa and Sharon, who is there and has been there in the back for not only today, of course. Thank you, Alexandre. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Pierre, Stefan, and Julian. I think it has been really good content, and we are going to disseminate all this content because, as Pierre mentioned, we are all needed and we are all involved in this green transition for the goodness of aviation, for the goodness of our regions, and for the goodness of our climate. So thank you very much, and see you soon again in different events and conference and meetings. Thank you.